This episode is brought to you by P3 Recovery. We see the trophies, the goals, the celebrations on the podium, the moments that create sporting history. But what really is behind these moments? The backstory will take you into the life behind the athlete to really understand what's led them to success. Born in Manchester, Tom Aldred grew up to live out his boyhood dream, becoming a professional football player. Signing his first professional contract at just 18 years of age, he was a born leader and went on to play in a leadership role in almost every team he played. His life changed when he was given the opportunity to move 16,500 kilometres from home in the UK to a country he had never been to and play for a team he had never heard of, and then given the responsibility of captain from day one. Being successful for Tom was the only option.
Tom Aldred, thank you so much for having a conversation with me on the backstory. I want to start with you growing up in Manchester. What was family life like? What was sort of your childhood like?
Manchester for me is home. Great place to grow up. Obviously a place that's very close to my heart. But no, for me it was very much working class background. Mum and dad both worked and provided me and my sister with an opportunity to live life. And look, it was for me, I think growing up, it's probably my childhood memories was just playing football, or soccer as they call it over here. But
I'll make sure I get it right.
But no, it was just that was part of my childhood. Is growing up with my mates and just playing football and for me it was a great place to grow up, and it does make me appreciate obviously certain aspects of living life over here now, of course.
And obviously, over in Manchester, football is everywhere. Was it part of your family, or was it just sort of you as another young kid wanting to play football?
I wouldn't say it was part of my family. My dad didn't have much history of being a footballer or playing football, or necessarily even liking football. And both my mum as well, she wasn't necessarily interested in it. But me, just when I got older, I just loved playing football. My friends were huge into it, and we loved watching the games, playing the video games, and then obviously on the streets kicking the ball around. So that's where it sort of originated from, and it went from there.
And tell me, when did football become more of a hobby? When did it become something that you thought, I want to do this?
I think when I got to sort of about 9, 10, 11, my mum would take me to the soccer camps at Manchester United, Bolton Wanderers, which were teams that in and around my area, local teams, which I'm sure people here know who Manchester United are. But yeah, and then from there, just started enjoying it, and that's the most important thing in any aspect of life, is enjoying it, and that's what I did. I really enjoyed it, and I think my parents could see that I enjoyed it. And as a parent, if your child's enjoying it, you just let them do it. And yeah, I would say when I got to 13, 14, and I did start to grow into my body a bit, it was something that then I thought, I really like this. And everyone in England dreams of being a professional footballer when they're younger. It's not necessarily. I think every boy had that dream, and fortunately, I was able to pursue it and really give it a go.
Were you one of those kids who was naturally talented, or did you have to work for your skills?
Look, I would say I had an amount of talent, but I think again, in all aspects of life, talent's one thing, but working hard to work on that talent is the main feature for me. I think everyone says talent's nothing without hard work, and that was definitely for sure in football. And as I went into full-time football, and at the time a team called Blackburn, which was a Premier League club in England, it was I knew I had to focus on all aspects, so nutrition, looking after my body, weight training, running, and obviously then becoming an athlete to play football. But yeah, I think I would say I was a fine balance between hard work and talent.
Talk me through those junior years in football. You were signed at a really young age. I think you were 18 when you sort of first signed your first professional contract. So young, it seems, but to have that responsibility with those big teams.
Yeah, look, when you obviously go into full-time football and becoming a professional at 18's, he's still really a baby in terms of the football world. It's a huge leap because you go into men's football, men's sport, first team environments where the pressure is on to win. People have got livelihoods on the line, and to go into that, it does make you grow up fast. You've got no other option but to grow up fast. But yeah, look, it was all part of a journey, and even now at 31 years of age, I'm still on that journey, and you learn as you go. It's like, for me, football, again, it's probably like many other jobs, but you learn on the job, and you have experiences, and you move on from them. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and at that age, it was hard. There was some real harsh life lessons for sure.
Talk me through some of the hardest parts of being a young 18-year-old kid that's really being expected to perform.
Yeah, definitely. No, look, well, the first one was leaving home at 16. I remember my mum dropping me off to move away from home and to move into digs with digs, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. We was living in a B&B, but yeah, housemates. It was just like, you go from that environment of being a child to 16 and having the comfort of your own mum, doing your own things, to then go into that. Yeah. Just left. It was like, wow. But looking back, it was probably the best thing that ever happened, because now, 15 years on, you're a different person for that, and I still look at friends back home living in the same places, and but yeah, look, it forced you to grow old and grow and grow up fast, and yeah, a lot of pressure on being a professional footballer, being a professional athlete, but again, it forces you to grow and makes you the person you are today.
So after you've sort of done your junior years, you sort of moved around a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me how difficult it was to, I suppose, be put on loan to various different teams and a lot of moving throughout the country. Yeah,
so without going into too much detail, my early career was I broke through at the team that I was done my apprenticeship at, which was Carlisle, and then got a big move to a championship club, which was Watford, which is a huge club in England, which was to London. So as I spoke about leaving home at 16, I then actually moved from a place which was an hour away to London, which is obviously, they call it the big smoke in England, is the bright lights of England. And I was only 18, 19 at the time. So again, to make that move at that age, being honest, it was probably a bit too much too soon. And it sort of forced my career in a way where I did have to go on loan and try and really earn my stripes. And I did that fortunately later on in a couple of years, but my early career was a bit nomadic in terms of I was here, there and everywhere. And yeah, I probably backed that into making a decision which was probably an impatient one to move too fast too soon. And moving to London at a young age sort of, it chewed me up and spat me back out, as they say. But again, these experiences happen, and you learn from them, and you become a better person for it.
So you made a big move to Blackpool, but it was sort of surrounded by a little bit of turmoil, sort of a bit of controversy. Talk to me about Blackpool.
Yeah, so Blackpool was my move basically on the way back up the footballing ladder, pyramid, whatever you want to call it. So I'd had to, as you say, have my loans, and I went to a team called Accrington, then I got my proper move to Blackpool. Blackpool at the time was a club an hour away from home, big club, but yeah, a lot of turmoil. The fans didn't particularly like the owner. It was a chaotic period, but from a personal point of view, within the 2.5 years I was there, I played every minute of every game. I played 100 games. I got a player of the season for the 2 years, and I got a promotion via the playoffs, which meant playing at Wembley and captain at Wembley. It was probably my proudest moment of my career, because I'm sure Australians know about Wembley.
We do.
But no, look, that was an incredible moment. But again, it was a lot of highs and lows in that period. But yeah, a lot of chaos. There was a lot of off the field incidents. I remember my family going into games and sometimes getting things thrown at them and stuff like that.
Talk to me about that a little bit more, because I don't think that's something we would see here. No. Like the intensity of the fans. They were fans of Blackpool, but they weren't cheering for you. Yeah. I mean, what was that like as a player?
It was incredible. But this is the thing that obviously culture of football over there is for working class people who use their hard-earned money to pay and watch you play on a Saturday. They feel they have the right to sometimes just take that out on players if it's not going well. But at that time, they were taking it out on the owners of the football club. And to be a part of that as a player was frustrating, because I felt, from a personal aspect, I was giving everything and playing well. And the team at the time, we were giving what we could with what we were provided with, which was players, but we were getting backlash from the fans. It was tough. And when we did go to Wembley, we didn't Blackpool as a club in previous years have took like 40,000 fans to Wembley. That year we only took 6,000. We were outnumbered significantly just because fans were boycotting games because they didn't like the owners now. Yeah, I mean, even when I'm speaking here now, people are probably thinking, well, this doesn't even make sense.
No, I think it's just, it's so different, I think, that what we're seeing over there than what you would sort of see here in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a bizarre circumstance with the owners, how they didn't get on. It was basically a sort of roundabout effect of the owners not being questioned of what their input was financially in terms of trying to make the club better and invest in the club and maybe taking profits, and the fans were a bit annoyed at that, but that then was backlash on the players, which was frustrating for players, you know. But all in all, from an individual aspect, that period was a successful one for me, and it allowed me to move on with my career.
You spoke about the game at Wembley where you stood in as captain.
Yeah.
I want to know more to the story about that captaincy at Blackpool. You were captain as a younger guy in the junior ranks, but the captaincy around Blackpool was also shrouded in controversy as well.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So that year I didn't start as captain, as there was another player, but obviously through injuries and stuff, I ended up being the captain for the majority of the games towards the back end of the year, and then obviously captained the side out at Wembley, which was it was amazing. It was a real honour. It's one of those things that you, at the end of your career, you'll look back on with great pride.
Was it disappointing to not receive that captaincy straight from the get-go?
I was actually, yeah, I was a bit annoyed, but then to be fair, looking back, it took the sort of, not pressure, but I was only 26 at the time, which is still, but yeah, like I had a really good season that year, and looking back, maybe not having the captaincy wasn't an extra burden and allowed me to just focus on playing well for the team. And
an injury that you experienced during that period as well was also a low point for you. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, because I got actually injured in the final, which is, this is that over here we play 26 games in a season, and it's like, I hear lads complaining. That season I'd played 55 games in like a 9-month period, and I had an Achilles tendinopathy issue, and it was just literally just so painful. And I remember going into that game thinking, I'm not really going to play this full game, and I played I think 35 minutes, and that was enough for me because I was just done. You know, the season had just took its toll, and physically I was exhausted, and yeah, look, annoyed not to play the full game, but again, it was just like, it was great to lead the team out, to say I've played at Wembley, and obviously in the end we won the promotion and the trophy.
Tell me how intense some of those games were, the rivalry, the I suppose nastiness from some of the real die-hard fans over there.
Yeah. Well, obviously, when I was at Blackpool, they had that adversity situation that we were speaking about, and fans just, their frustrations on the owners took it out on the players. I remember a game when we played a team called Burton, which is right in the Midlands of the UK, or England, and went over to clap the fans after getting beat 1-0, and it was a game where we'd been beat 1-0, but it wasn't a horrific performance. Like, lads had given it everything, and I remember one fan leant over and just said, "Oh, you're not fit to wear this shirt, Aldred," or whatever, and I just felt like that was unwarranted. I was playing okay at the time, and I think at that time actually I'd just been named the league's player of the month, and I just was like, so I just took my shirt off, threw it at the fans, and that then caused even more ruckus, because then it was probably the wrong thing to do for me looking back, but after getting beat, you've got the frustration of that, then a fan saying that, it was just like, and then it caused chaos, and there's a bit of like I don't know, like a war of words after that, but yeah, it was one of the sort of situations that I'd been in. It was an interesting one for sure. So
we'll fast forward a little bit. The opportunity to come out here to Australia, a foreign country, the other side of the world, how did that all come about? Yeah,
so obviously after just going back, obviously after I left Blackpool, I went up to via another team which didn't go particularly well, called Bury. I went to a team in Scotland called Motherwell. I'd done 2 great years there and really enjoyed it. So after that, I was 28 years of age. I'd played in all 3 leagues outside the Premier League in England, and I'd played in the Premier League in Scotland. So I'd got to an age where I just felt like I was ready for something new, completely new. And I had like about 3 months left on my contract, and we were up in Scotland where we were living, and me and Hannah, my other half, I got a phone call from my agent just basically saying, would you go to Australia? And I was like, well, I need to know more than that, because Australia's a big place. And it was just basically saying that Robbie Fowler, who's a little bit of a legend in England, was going to get a job. And he didn't name the team, but he mentioned just Brisbane, and I didn't know much about Australia. I obviously knew about the league. I didn't know much about the country as a whole. For me, being England, it was like
there's kangaroos in the street,
kangaroos,
things like that.
Sydney Opera House. It's hot. So I was like, right, okay. So then that night, I'd done a bit of research. I literally just put on Robbie Fowler into Google, and it come up Brisbane Roar. So then I put in Brisbane on Google, and the first thing that popped up is the Brisbane sign in South Bank. And I said, oh, it looks all right there. Anyway, cut a long story short, I met him, Robbie Fowler, and he spoke about the place and the club and where they wanted to go. And to be fair, everything married up to what he said that day. And from there, the ball got moving really quickly, and we had to arrange. We had a house, and there's a lot of things. We had a dog. So yeah, that was sort of how it all came about, and yeah, I've never looked back, and I've never been back since. So
what is it like to rock up in a country that's, you've heard about, you've not been to rock up to a club that you've heard about, you've not been to, and you're captain, and you've got to build this team, and you've got to build the morale, and you've got to somehow make it all work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, it wasn't easy. First of all, I was excited to come. It was something completely different that I'd never ever experienced, and then to be made captain in the first 2 months was like, yeah, it was quite overwhelming. But I didn't necessarily, when you put it on paper, it was it's quite daunting. But you don't really, I didn't think like that. I just sort of tried to just get on with it and just take each day as a time, and felt like I grew into the role as a captain. And yeah, so far it's been an incredible experience. I've loved every minute of it. And I'm so thankful that I actually took the opportunity to do it, because obviously when it did come up, I know I'm saying, oh, it was this, that, but it wasn't. There was a slight bit of doubt where you're going, is this the right thing for me and my career? So
tell me about that first day that you walk in, I think you call it the dressing room.
Yeah.
You've got the other players there, and hi, I'm Tom from Manchester.
Yeah.
I'm going to be, part of the club. What was that like?
It was just what I was fortunate with. There was a lot of new players coming at that time as well. The manager had sort of reassembled a new team and built right from the ground up, and so there was a few others in the same boat, and there's a few as well from the UK. So to be honest with the whole experience was just really exciting. It was just like, it was something completely new. It was something that it was just almost surreal, really. But no, it's like I say, I've been here 2.5 years now, and I probably call this my home now. And yeah, it's been great. I've just really enjoyed it.
How do you build sort of trust within the group when people might not be familiar with you, but you've got to sort of really lead this side now to make to get to the top?
Yeah, no, that was the hard part. I'll be honest, from the start, is that I was coming into a dressing room where players had played hundreds of A-League games, and I had not played one game. So I was going into the beginning of the season as a captain of a team in a league that I'd never played in. So it was, and there was not teething issues at the start, but we didn't start that season great. And but look, in the end, we turned it round, and we made the finals in the first year, and we established ourselves in the last 2 years as one of the top sides in the league. So look, there's been moments, down moments, but all in all, it's been a good journey. And yeah, obviously I've still got another 3 years left on my contract, and I look forward to the future here.
Tell me about the game. You scored your first goal. I think it was against Adelaide.
Yeah.
What was the emotions and the feelings like with that?
Yeah, a bit of relief really with that one, because obviously you always want to get your first goal for the football club, and it was at the Suncorp, good atmosphere, and it was a game that was quite a tight game and big game as well. So I felt like if there was ever a perfect moment to get a goal, that was it. And yeah, it was good atmosphere at the Suncorp that day as well.
You came out here with one of your good mates, Macaulay Gillespie. I've seen some footage of you guys getting sort of, the guys giving you a bit of stick for not knowing some of the language or the slang that we use here in Australia. How was that for you?
Oh yeah, well, we had me and Maka were just like, going back to when I first flew out, obviously my other half didn't come with me, so we had to, me and him knew each other via a friend at home, and we just phoned each other and we're like, right, let's just rent an apartment together. So we rented an apartment together, and and we were just like literally two idiots abroad, like, you know, and we'd been out at surfers, and we had the quad bikes coming out to us because we'd gone out in the rip. We had all
a typical Englishman
typical
on
English
holiday.
lads abroad. So yeah, he was probably a bit, I'd say, a bit more dumber than me. But yeah, he's obviously not here now. I miss him here. But no, it was good. And yeah, we had the slang contest that day. I remember that, and we didn't have a clue what we were talking about.
And I suppose more specific to your training and playing, how do you adapt to, you come to the Gold Coast, we come to Brisbane, it's hot, there's not really much of a winter here. How different is it to playing back at home?
Oh yeah, it's completely different, and I think here it forces you to look after your body so much better because you just can't get away with anything. Hydration, obviously going in the recovery centre is brilliant, but you're just losing the amount of fluid you lose in the game, especially me. I sweat like crazy, and then obviously, as you know, when you lose your body fluid, that's when you can have cramps and muscle issues and things like that. So it's just so important you look after yourself, and I do find the games here, especially in the summer periods, tough because as you go into the second half, you lose those fluids, the fatigue sets in. Whereas back home, I always used to feel in the second half I would get almost like a second wind and just keep going. So yeah, it just forces you to look after the body a bit better.
I know you say you're only 31, you've still got plenty of playing in you, but how have you changed as a player from that 18-year-old that got signed as a professional to now?
Yeah, look, as a defender, I always think you just get that bit, you don't necessarily get better, but the experience is key, and you get better with age in terms of reading the game. But for me, yeah, look, I feel like I've improved significantly over the years, and it's helped that I've gone to different countries and played different styles of football, and especially here. So no, look, I still think there's always improvement to be done, and yeah, just look forward to getting back from this injury and kicking on for this season for sure.
And how do you deal with injuries? Are you someone that you're shaking your head automatically?
Yeah,
how do you process dealing with the time away from the club and not being sort of part of that team?
Yeah, I mean, touch wood, I've never had significant injuries up till this calendar year, and this calendar year has been a frustrating one because I had a hamstring tendon issue, and then I've had this knee issue. But like, the first one was the worst. It felt like some part of me had died because you can't do what you've always done, you know. And yeah, look, I think you've just got to sort of psychologically switch yourself away from the team because obviously they're a part of it. They're going out training every day, they're playing in the games, and when you see them do that, it's the worst feeling in the world because you can't do it. But no, look, I feel like this one I've dealt with better. And it's just I think when you're doing all the right things off the pitch, it helps. And obviously psychologically, if you can train, you can run and you can do stuff in the gym, it helps as well. So it keeps you ticking over and ready for when you're back to playing. 3 more
years on a contract, is there beyond that for Tom?
Oh yeah, definitely. So that takes me to 33. I would like to say I've still got more years ahead of me then. But yeah, look, I don't try and look too far down the line. That 3 years provides us with security and probably laid more roots down here in Queensland, Australia. Don't know if I'll get away by the end of it. But no, yeah, we'll see where it takes us. But no, look, I'm really enjoying it here. We're happy, and we'll see where we go.
Was there times where you were scared or you were fearful for your family or your friends when there's so much hostility from them?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I think Scotland was probably an area where there was that much rivalry between fans that it was almost like you could almost feel it culture-wise between groups of people. When I played up in Edinburgh, which is a team called Hearts, which is a huge club, in a cup tie, I went over to get the ball. I was playing on the right side of the pitch, and I went over to collect the ball out of the fans. As he threw me the ball, he called me an ugly. I'm not going to repeat what he called, and he gone to throw. He's like, I don't know if it was a cup of Bovril or a cup of tea, and it went at me, and I felt it. But yeah, there's just utter hatred. When we played against Rangers, there was on Remembrance Day, there was like things being thrown from, which was part of the ceremony at our away fans, and my family was there, and they spoke about being hit by things. But look, it's as a player, like the player that I am, like, yes, it's not sometimes when families are involved, it's not great, but to play in these games, it was pretty incredible. And I'd say that's one of the things I do miss about the UK is that real passion between between fans, and sometimes the hatred can be a bit too much, but yeah, it's interesting.
I just want to touch on sacrifices. I know any elite sports person has to sacrifice somewhere in their life, whether it be friends, family, going out, school. What are some of the sacrifices that you've probably had to make throughout your career, both young and currently, to ensure that you are, you know, the best player you can be?
Yeah, for sure. So, like, obviously, Christmas time's one of them. Christmas time, wherever I've been, has always been a busy period with fixtures. So, on that Christmas day when the desserts come out, it's like, food-wise, obviously, just being careful, and then just people go out for Christmas parties and just having to say no, and it can be hard because, as you know, you're missing out on friends and families and good times over Christmas. So that's definitely one. But yeah, just like obviously the group of friends I grew up with, and I don't necessarily see them now, but growing up with those and seeing them go out and go on the nights out. Yes, I've been out with them, but obviously within reason I wouldn't do it regularly, and just having to just say no to that, you know. Holidays, obviously in the summer when they go away and stuff like that. So, but to be fair, like looking back, like at the times it was difficult to say no, and I did. But looking back, it was the best thing ever done, because as you know, in any sport now, you have to be a super fit athlete, and you can't do that by going out and drinking and doing all those things. So, yeah, lots of sacrifices, but definitely worth it.
And what makes a good captain? You've had various experiences of being a captain and being successful. So what do you bring to the captaincy that you feel is contributes to that success?
Yeah, for me, being a captain is ultimately you are the captain, but it's not all about you. I've seen certain leaders, not just captains, but leaders in organisations and businesses who make it all about them. I think that's not the way to do it. If you want as a team, and the best leaders don't necessarily make them being seen as the leaders. I've seen people being put in higher positions where they have been captains and they make it all about themselves. It becomes uncomfortable, and ultimately you want to get the best from your group. And the best way to do that, for me as a leader, is to help people, but just not necessarily put the onus on yourself. And I'm trying to think of an example to sort of best describe it. But the best captains for me are always like they know when to be known at the right situations. But yeah, look, there is times I think you do have to show your ownership and your leadership and come out, but just to help the group and be successful.
So pre-game ritual, are you a captain that likes to really fire up, get everyone involved in the dressing room, or is it more of a quieter atmosphere?
It depends on the situation and depends sometimes on the game. Sometimes that's necessary. I would, in games where people maybe think that they can just take their foot off the throttle, but sometimes in big games, I think sometimes it's helpful just to take the pressure off players and just go about in a normal, casual situation and just help players individually and speak to them. I'd like to think I have good relationships with all the different players and help them individually so that they can flourish collectively.
And your pre-game meal? Have you got a certain thing that you like to have?
My pre-game meal is just beans, toast and poached eggs, which everyone in Australia was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, no, because there was a few of the British lads that were over here were like, no, we all have this. And they were like, what? And
what do you have post-match?
To be fair, post-match when I had people, nutritionists always say, oh, you can eat whatever after a game, which sometimes you can because obviously your body's burning the calories that you've burnt in the game. But now I would like to stick more healthy, like just pasta, fuel up, obviously protein shakes, things like that. But yeah, when I was in England, it was always stop off at McDonald's on the way home.
That's good to know. Young fans and young soccer players can have little Maccas on the way.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world because your body can burn it off.
So Tom, I've got myself decked out.
Yeah,
got to look the part.
Good.
I'm more of an AFL background, and then into motorsport. Not so much soccer or football. Yeah. So I want some tips. Right. What is the first thing you're going to tell me?
Okay, so I'd say the first thing is just a pass, so a basic pass. So if I back up a bit, So obviously, are you right-footed or left?
Right, I think I'll be right-footed.
Right,
yep.
yeah, okay. We'll find that out.
Find it out in a minute.
So if you're right-footed, you want to obviously place the left leg next to the ball, and then you're coming through with that side step of obviously your right leg. So, and you want to make contact with the ball in this side step area. So it's just basically a step and just pass it like that.
Okay.
So I'll stand here.
You might need to stand over there and over there. All right.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Rather than kick it with the toes, try and kick it with this bit here. And then your standing leg, try and plant it right next to the ball.
Okay.
So it's like that.
Ooh, it's got some pace on it. Tell me, when you're doing a header,
Yeah.
are you feeling pain? Surely.
No, I was always told as a young boy, when you head the ball with your eyes. You're obviously not going to head it with your eyes. So when the ball's obviously coming in, you want to be heading it in a trajectory, but this is the point of contact. Okay? So obviously ball comes in, it's like that. Oh, that's not bad. better with your head than you are with your feet.
Tom, there must have been some pivotal people in your career, whether it be in your junior days or now at Brisbane Roar. Who are some of those people who have really sort of helped you in being a successful player?
I'm a youth team manager who's called Eric, and then just to be fair, coaches throughout the year. I always think you can learn a little bit from each coach, and throughout the years there's been many coaches, so it's hard to name a few. But my youth team manager Eric was probably a key one.
Do you thrive under pressure? Do you love it?
Yeah, I love pressure. I do. I love pressure, and I think that's what sort of made me who I am today. Is the situations you put under. I almost sometimes miss it if I'm not under pressure, So pressure for me, especially in the UK, was huge, and it was always a case of just stepping up and answering it.
Thank you so much, Tom. You've been very generous with your time and being open and honest with your story, and I really am very grateful for spending time with me today.
Thank
you. I'll be on the pitch next game.
Yeah, with you passing.
The Pommy football player has well and truly settled into the Australian way of life. He has recently become a dad with his partner Hannah, and they're ready to go for another season with the Roar. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Backstory. Thanks to our friends at P3 Recovery for their support. Welcome to P3 Recovery Centre, a state-of-the-art recovery and wellbeing facility right here in the heart of Burleigh on the Gold Coast. Come with me, I'll take you for a tour.